Hey everyone, Drecky here, and today let's try something different. I'm reviewing the SJCam SJ8 Plus, which was sent to me by Gearbest.com, and instead of the usual formal unboxing and review thing that I do, I'm going to take you on an adventure. This is what I expect would be a typical day with this camera, and while we're out and about, we'll talk about the camera specs, its upsides, its downsides, video quality, that sort of thing. So let's head up to the Christchurch Adventure Park. The Christchurch Adventure Park is a short bus ride from city centre, and the best part about the bus is, it takes you almost all the way up the hill, so you only have to pedal a little bit. So a short ride on this sketchy, winding road later, and it's like you get a free run in. The run that it takes you to doesn't have a lot of jumps, it's mostly just berms and banks, but that makes it an excellent warm-up run and the perfect time to start testing this camera. The SJCam SJ8 Plus advertises 4K 30 frames per second and 2.7K 60 frames per second, both with stabilisation. That's kinda cool, especially considering my other favorite camera, the Firefly 8 SE, doesn't have stabilisation in either of those formats. It would be really nice to have the extra resolution to work with as well as the extra frame rates. So I'm interested to see how the video quality in both of those settings go. Right now, I'm filming in 4K 30 with stabilization, and something looks a little bit up on the camera. I'm not sure if it's doing this in the final video, but it looks like it's stuttering and lagging just a little bit. So let's switch it over to 2.7K 60 and see if it still does that. Alright, now you're looking at some 2.7K 60 footage, and it doesn't seem to be stuttering anymore. It just looks like that's in 4K 30. I'll follow up on that at the end of the video once I've reviewed the footage on my computer. Overall, apart from SJCam removing some buttons compared to its older cameras, it's actually pretty easy to use. The larger touchscreen and the build quality makes this camera feel premium, and that definitely does account for the slightly higher price than other cameras in its bracket. Menus are pretty easy to navigate, and settings are pretty easy to change on the fly. From what I can see looking at videos on screen too, the color looks pretty good, although I notice it's a little bit tweaked towards warmer tones than my preference. SJCam in general tends to emphasize a little bit more on the yellows and the reds, and white balance towards a warmer tone, which is a personal preference whether you like that or not. It's up to you. Well, the battery died after like 3 runs. So I guess that's the downside of having the big touchscreen and going and playing back videos, is that the touchscreen is going to suck up battery life like no tomorrow. We're now here at the Christchurch Red Zone, just looking at a little bit more footage and trying to figure out why the 4K is stuttering. I've now tried 3 different memory cards, a firmware update, and even SJCam support, and nobody has an answer for me. Thing is, I think that this is just a problem with my specific camera, because I've seen several other reviewers and other 4K footage from this camera, and it's been totally okay. Once I have the gyro stabilization turned off, the 4K footage looks fine, and gyro stabilization in 1080p 60 and 1080p 30 work without a hitch, so I guess it's just bad luck. Overall though, the 4K video quality of this camera does look pretty good. It's definitely not as sharp as the SJ8 Pro, but I guess SJCam has to make some differentiation between their high-end model and their medium model, so. The other thing that I've noticed is that the 1080p 60 and the 2.7K 60 look almost identical, so there's no increase in resolution using one over the other. That's super disappointing because I wanted a higher resolution, high frame rate mode with stabilization. The SJCam SJ8 Plus is supposed to offer that, but really, 1080p and 2.7K, they look the same.
In conclusion, this camera has so many good things going for it. The build quality, the large and vibrant touchscreen, and even the 4K with stabilization off. It's too bad it just had a couple issues with it, such as the stabilized 4K, the wind noise, and the 2.7K not really looking different from the 1080p, because otherwise this would be one of my recommended cameras. And if those things don't matter to you, then this camera is a good buy.
We're going to have to get this thing beside the Firefly 8 SE and the T5 Edge and see which one looks best overall, because those two cameras are the closest competitors in terms of price and specification. So yeah, what do you think of this new review model? Would you rather I take you on an adventure and then talk about my experience with this camera, or do you prefer the more formal review model with the unboxing and then showing different clips in different situations? Let me know in the comments below because I'm really interested to hear. If you are interested in getting this action cam or almost any other action cam I've reviewed, we're coming up on the best time of the year because November 11th is basically Chinese Black Friday. It's called Singles Day 11/11 and it's one of the biggest sales that they have in China. And Gearbest is pretty good about being competitive on their price, so definitely check out their link in the description because they do have a lot of coupons and games and pre-sales before the 11/11. I'm trying to hold my head as steady as I can here, but these trails are quite hard. Hey, thanks for watching. Thumbs and subs support my channel.